Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Shalom, Hotep. Assalamu Allah. Peace to the black gods. Peace to the black goddesses on the face of the planet Earth, covering 196,940,000 square miles. I'm your brother in the struggle for freedom, justice, and equality, Brother Minister Alifullah. Beloved, today I just want to touch on something about black people's economic situation in the year 2024 going into 2025. As of November of 2024, so-called African Americans have a gross national income of $1.6 trillion. What that means is that we're bringing in, through labor, hip-hop, sports, entertainment, actors, actresses, businessmen, entrepreneurs, what have you, $1.6 trillion into the U.S. economy. However, we got to look at this factually and realistically. The United States is $36 trillion in debt as of 2024. Imagine you're working and you bring in a paycheck. And let's do a hypothetical. Say you make $4,000 a month. You bring in your $4,000. Just because you bring in $4,000 don't mean nothing. That's gross. Like, what are your bills? What are your expenditures? You have to pay a mortgage. You got to pay a rent, a car note. You got to pay for food, the electric bill, the Wi-Fi. You got to pay for clothing. It's other things, haircuts. Meaning that when you look at it realistically, before you get your $4,000, you owe $3,000. So you're not bringing in $4,000, you're bringing in $1,000, only 25% of your realistic income. So when you hear black people bringing in $1.6 trillion, do you know how much money we owe? What type of debts we use in 1 year? That $1.6 trillion that we bring in, we owe out over $1 trillion, family. You see? So we can't go for the illusions and delusions of the devil's money. The Messenger taught us in 1973 in the fall of America. He wrote a whole chapter called The Decline of the Dollar. And he explained how in the 70s, the President Nixon, they took the dollar off of the gold and silver standard and they made what we call today fiat money. So when we pick up this fiat money, we're talking a $1 bill, $2 bill, $5 bill, $10 bill, a $50 bill, a $100 bill, a $1,000 bill. Now, I mean, that money, just looking at the pictures, most of them are former slave owners. That is not money. That's a promissory note. It says on it that this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. The Federal Reserve print that monopoly money up and make our people think that they got $1.6 trillion. Let me explain something to you about that type of money. The original dollar is no longer in use. The dollar that America used in the 1700s, it was the long wig, the long hair. It was the Liberty dollar. That dollar is no longer in use. America changes their currency. And the money that you have today may not be money tomorrow. You got to understand that when they formed this thing, Britain flooded this country with all types of counterfeit Confederate dollars. So they literally had to invent their own coinage system and come up with a monetary system. And we forget what the scientists warned us about in the Bible. What did Jesus tell them? Jesus told them about them. He said, whose inscription are pictures on the money? They said, that's Caesar's picture. They said, well, get a Caesar with his Caesar and get a God with his God. If we're saying that we're a nation of the original man, the Asiatic black man, and make it the owner, the cream of planet Earth, God of the universe, and yet we're trying to build our future with dead presidents, with our imperialists and colonizers' images, brothers and sisters, we're running into a burning building and locking ourselves and nailing the door shut. We do not consider that money. The messenger gave us a 12-point program. He wanted independence. He wanted some land to call his own. He wanted to print. He told us in our lessons, 12-point program, and message to the black man. He said, what? Make your own economic system. I mean, the struggle is not for us to take and get a bigger paycheck. I mean, it's like, no, that's not how that go, family. Now, I mean, when you study the world, and you study the world history, and how did these people, what is the Palestinians over there fighting for? How did the people in Azania, South Africa, get their land back? Now, I mean, how did the people in Pakistan get that land? How did the people, y'all may be too young for this, but when I was growing up, China was poor. Made in China, you didn't want nothing made from China and Japan and all that kind of stuff. I remember when in the 80s when the Chinese, was struggling to take care of their babies. I remember watching the news, watching Russians go in the supermarket and they getting beans and rice because there was no meat in that supermarkets in that country. You see, it's hard for us to grasp that a great nation like Greece can go bankrupt, that a mighty nation like Germany would take and burn $100,000 just to cook their food because the money had no more value to it. Don't get caught up in the technology of the devil. You know what I mean? Our struggle is for a nation in a nation, and ultimately the rebalancing of a government of peace wherein we all can live together in peace and harmony. For now, the struggle continues.